No, you're not putter from the shear, just because you made eggs. Do you have the sheets? I made some sheets. There's some pamphlets around. Did Brian? What's it? Where do you put? Yeah, there's an extra one right there, isn't there? Yeah. You have a frame. Frame needs one. I think. You have a paper? New sugya. Okay, so we're ready. Come on, we're on. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So we're starting a new Inyan. I mean, okay. Let's explain. We just finished Shin Pei Vav, which is the halachis. Let me just get this recorded audio. The audio. I'm finding this thing for some reason. That's my. I don't know where. Oh, here. Okay. Okay, so we were learning Dina de Garmi, Siman Shin Pei Vav, Dina de Garmi, and the next one of the cases of Dina de Garmi is when you give over information. One of the cases in the Gemara of Dina de Garmi is the case of a Moser. A Moser is somebody who gives over important information to I don't see if there's any more. I don't know. I made a bunch, but a Moser is someone who gives over information to the authorities, and based on whoever he gives over the information to, they take his money and they cause him a nezek. And the question is the informant chayiv al dina de garmi? But before we even get to that, so therefore that's Shin Pei Ches. We're going to go back to Shin Pei Zayin afterwards. Shin Pei Zayin is what Rabbi Silver spoke about, how to evaluate damage. But Shin Pei Ches is obviously, as you can imagine, the dinim of Moser, when it comes to mominus, is one thing, but in general, the dinim of Moser are very, very controversial, very sticky. It's a sticky sugya. It's not a simple sugya. And therefore we have to, probably people have heard stories and people have people get fired up about this issue when it comes to broader applications. So first we're gonna go into, in the Gufa Sugya, we're gonna go into what's the makar of the Isser, to be Malshin and to be Moser, and the Chomer Adavar, and then we're gonna go into the Dinei Maminus of it. Okay, the Garmi, the Groma, and all that. But before that, I want to go into, I think the proper seder to do this is to go over the Isser of it. Okay, it's a Davar Chomer Ma'oid. It's considered a Davar Chomer Ma'oid to be Moser, an issue, a fight, or in some sort of dispute between Yidden, to be moser it over to the authorities, to the goyim, to do what they want to do with it, b'dinehem, is considered a davar chomer ma'oid. As a matter of fact, the Rambam, which is all the way at the end of the sources here, the Rambam says that, not all the way at the end, it's the third to last page of the pamphlet, Chovel Mazik Perik Ches. What? He says, in the end of Halacha Tes, he says, "Asur limsar ha'adam biyad ovik hachavim bein begufay bein b'mamoina." You're not allowed to be moiser a Jew or his money to the goyim. Va'afilu haya rasha ubal averis, even if he's a bad guy. Va'afilu haya meitzer lo yitzar, even if he's causing you tzar. V'chol ha'moisroi biyad ovik hachavim bein begufay bein b'mamoina ein lo yichelek lo'olam haba. That means that this guy puts on tefillin every day, keeps kosher, keeps Shabbos, but for whatever reason, he decided to get his friend back. And there's a lot of reasons why a person would do this. And the way he wants to get his friend back is by being moiser him to the authorities. And if a person does that, even if he's technically technically act like a yid in other areas, ein loy chelek loy lam haba. There was once a story with Moshe. Someone came to Moshe and asked him about a certain inyan. He wasn't, is this Masira or is it not Masira? Can I do this? Can I not do this? So Moshe said, I have to think about it. He came back to him and said, I'm not sure. It's a good shaila. Sofik olam haba l'chumra. So this is not a simple inyan. Obviously, there's both ways, and if we're going to see that when the issue pertains to protecting the tzibor, you have somebody that's a potential hazard to the tzibor, bein b'mamin, bein b'guf, bein any other way that a person could be a hazard to the tzibor. That's a whole different story. Then maybe he has a din of, well, we'll see very soon. Maybe he has a din of a roidef. Maybe he has a din. He has a lot of problems to it. But in general, the he's waiting for you. He was waiting for that. He was waiting for an excuse to leave. So he in general, we're going to see the chaymer adavar. Now, on that note, there's an unbelievable. We just said ein lechelek l'olam haba. There's a Rambam in the next page, which is in Perek Beis of Mamrim. It's actually Perek Gimel of Mamrim. The Rambam says like this: Mi she'ena moide b'Torah shebal peh, ena zaken mamrei ha'omer b'Torah. Zaken mamrei is someone that argues on the Sanhedrin. So someone that argues on the whole Torah shebal peh, he doesn't agree to the concept. It's like a tziduki. El arei ze b'chlal apikarsim. Umisasser b'cholot. You're allowed to kill such a person. Me'achar shenisparsem shehu kaifer b'Torah shebal peh maridin oisay v'lei malin. We'll see the Gemara. V'hareu kisharkol apikarsim amurin. Ha'oimim ain't termin hashamayim, and he's in the category of a moser and a mumar. Shekol elu einam bechlal Yisrael. It's unbelievable. A mumar, we understand, he doesn't believe in Torah, so he cut off his relationship with Hashem. So if he cut off his relationship with Hashem, he's not called a yid. A yid is someone who has a certain type of kesher with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But what about a moser? So he says a moser is einam bechlal Yisrael. He's not considered to be part of the Jewish people. So what you see from here is that even though he goes to Shul every day and he looks like he's a religious guy, a firm guy, and he thinks he has a relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu, but if he cuts himself off from the rest of Klal Yisrael and he aligns himself with the Akum, then he's not B'Klal Yisrael also, because he cut himself off from the people, and he aligned himself with the Akum. So once he aligned himself with the Akum, then he's not B'Klal Yisrael. Now, there's a line in a tshuva from Rav Moshe. I assume that this tshuva from Rav Moshe was written in Russia, and I didn't look at it when I printed it out where it was, but it's a very interesting case of basically a whole case of yibum and chalitza, and the guy didn't want to do chalitza, and he threatened that if the Bezdin forces me to do chalitza, I'm going to call the authorities on them and make up some sort of something that they did wrong, and the police is going to come. So Rav Moshe says, first of all, someone that threatens to do Masira is already a Moser. You're not even allowed to threaten Masira. That's one chiddush he says. But then he says, and anyway, but he says it could be that the lady is mutter anyway, lashuk, because once he's a Moser, he's not B'Klal Yisrael, so she's put from chalitza from him. So he's not a yid. So he says like this. So he says that he brings over here that a moser is puzzle to write a Sefer Torah or tefillin. He's not allowed to write Sefer Torah or tefillin. The question is why. So he brings a machlekes here between Rabbi Akiva Eiger and the Gra. He says the Gra says this thing. He doesn't bring the Rambam that I just quoted. I think the Rambam is a klor raya to the Gra that he's not B'Klal Yisrael. And he says, because the Rambam says that the reason he's potter, he's puzzle in writing Sefer Torah, because he says ukshartem uksaftem. Only someone that does kshira, that does tefillin, is kosher to write tefillin. Someone that doesn't put on tefillin is not kosher to write the tefillin. So therefore, a moser is puzzle to write tefillin. So Dr. Moshe, the guy puts on tefillin every day. What do you mean? He's puzzle to write tefillin because he doesn't put on tefillin. But this guy does put on tefillin. That's talking about someone who doesn't believe in the mitzvah. He's a mumar. He's an apikairis. So he doesn't do the mitzvahs. So he decides to make some money. He's going to learn, calligraphy and he decides to write Sifrei Torah, that's possible. But this guy's not like that. This guy puts on tefillin every day. So Dr. Moshe Aloshan over here, Harei shemachshiv l'moser le'enei mamin b'kshira. He does not believe in the mitzvah of tefillin. Avshu mekayim ha-mitzvah u'meniach tefillin. Humishum di'i efshar le'maimin be'emes she'ar shia kol kach li'os moser. It's impossible that he really believes in the mitzvah and yet he's a moser. He does it for whatever other reason, but he doesn't really believe in it. So for him, the putting on tefillin is just like part of his, tradition stuff. He doesn't really believe in Hashem. He doesn't believe in the whole concept of mitzvahs. If you believe in the concept of mitzvahs, you couldn't be a maser. So Moshe touches up this Rambam. Unbelievable.
That it's hachos as opposed to tinuk shenishba, and he doesn't know, so he realizes that he moves to only acts like a he doesn't realize that this is overstepping. And there's a chiluk.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that chiluk specifically. The only chiluk I saw in this was if he's doing it lahanas atzmoi versus to get him back. In other words, he has a choiv or he has certain money that the only way for him to get would be through doing this. So maybe there he's not trying to be mazik the other person. Maybe there's a chiluk, but there's no chiluk. He doesn't know. When he doesn't know, you can't not know that.
we compare. Rambam's comparing the meiser to a lumar. We know by ilchos lumar there it makes an afmina.
Yeah, but not like Mesira. What shaykhs to Mesira?
Just to the extent that the Rambam earlier was comparing.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the same point.
Well, a person is a tinuk shenishba who doesn't believe is kaifer with the Paris Moshe, but he's still we don't give him that. We don't make that.
Well, he's not chayv misa, but the next halacha is the Rambam says, "B'medvar mamurim b'isha kafar b'tor shebal peh v'machshavte v'dvar m'sheniru lo v'halacha chadayto akala." But if he's a tinuk shenish, but that's the next halacha in the Rambam. But he doesn't talk about a moser in that point.
If a Moshe thinks it's mutter for whatever reason, he thinks that for whatever reason he thinks it's a belas at tzibur, and it's not. He'd still have the comfort sort of passions.
He's not talking about that. That's not for sure. That's for sure. That's for Moshe's case. But you're talking about a case where he's basically not an observant person. He doesn't really know that there's an institution of Bezdin, not an institution of Bezdin, and there's no way to really cross your T's, make sure that you're doing the right thing. I don't know.
Why would it be worse?
It's worse because it's a fact. It's a mitzvah. So you are more comfortable with the goyim than you are with the yidden.
Okay.
So you're not b'chlal Yisrael.
Being kofer and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Gamri is a lot worse. No.
So I'm saying you see from here it's not a lot worse necessarily. You see that being kofer in your shaykhis to Klal Yisrael also makes you not b'chlal Yisrael. Why it says kol malva beribis. Kol malva beribis is what's it called? Ein lechelik b'teres Moshe. So why? Because it's not how you treat your brother. It's not how you treat your brother. So obviously you're not treating him like a brother. So Al Kapanim, the tshuva from Moshe explaining over here the dichotomy. Now on the one hand he puts on tefillin, but on the other hand it's efshar that he believes in tefillin. Because you can't reach this low level of the depths of Moser if you have somewhat of a shaykhis to a belief in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So Memela it's muchach that he doesn't have a din of Yisrael, and you could be malva him beribis, you could charge him ribis and everything. He brings the Rabbi Kiva Eger. The Rabbi Kiva Eger says that it's not so posh that you could charge him ribis, that it's not so posh, and Rabbi Kiva Eger really learns not like that in Moser. But I think that the Rambam's lashon is mashma like the Gra also, and I see Rav Moshe has over here two tzdadim. So there's two chidushim in this Rav Moshe. One is that even threatening to be Moser is Moser, and second of all, he's explaining over here what does it mean Einam B'chlal Yisrael in the Rambam. Okay, so that's the Chaymer Adavar over here of Mesira.
There's a din on the tzibur. You would want him to be farsin that because sort of a shtickle hair. We can't include him in your minion. You shouldn't invite him to your house or other halachas. I mean, so it's a din on.
It's like anything. I mean, l'chayra once.
Yeah, he's a guy. You're saying he's a guy. You're now dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, again, very often you need to understand what's going on, and it's delicate, obviously. And so I'm not going to go paskin on anyone to do it. I'm not going to paskin it so quickly that he has this status either. Okay. Now we're going to see in the sugyas of the Gemara. There's about 4 or 5 sugyas that bring a makar. What do we do with this guy? What do you do with such a person? Okay. So first of all, in the Etzem Isser of Masira, there's a Gemara in Gittin, Daf Zayin Amud Aleph, which is the first Gemara I brought here, that you're not allowed to be moiser a person even if he's causing you trouble. He's bothering you. I don't know what bothering means, but there's a Gemara. Mar Ukva, Shalach le Mar Ukva le Rabbi Lazar. Gittin Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. So Mar Ukva had a shayla to Rabbi Lazar. B'nei Adam ha'oimdim alai. There are people that are bothering me. Rashi says, everywhere I go, they're saying things about Hashem and Yiddishkeit, and they're very distracting, and they're very, creating a very bad ruach. And I have information on them that I could give over, and if I do that, then the authorities will take them away. Mao, am I allowed to do that? So Zogt the Gemara, Sirteit v'kasav lei, he wrote down a pasuk to him. Amarti eshmera darki mechatoy biloshoini. I said to myself, there's a pasuk in Tehillim. David Amel says, I said to myself that I watched my tongue from doing any averis. Eshmera lafi machsoim, and I guarded my mouth. Ba'oid rosh lenegdi, even when there was a rush in front of me. So af al pi, even though shirasha lenegdi, that there's a rush in front of me, eshmera lafi machsoim, I covered my mouth from saying anything. Meaning he was trying to tell him, no, you're not allowed. Even if there's a Russia here, and he's a bad guy, you're not allowed to go and hand him over to the authorities. So he says, "Kamitzar tuva," but they're really bothering me. I can't do anything. Look, you have to be quiet, and daven. If you are quiet, just don't say anything. You go to the base medrash, you go learn, try to avoid them, try to do what you can, and Hashem will take care of the rest. So in other words, no, just because the guy is sitting there and he's creating demonstrations. I don't like this yeshiva, I don't like this koil, I don't like this shul, whatever, and he's doing bad stuff to the tzibur. You cannot hand him over to the malchus. That's even to that degree. And the more you learn, the more you, kolam aleim. Hadavar yatzim pi Rabbi Lazar nasnu legneva b'koilar. And eventually, Kachava, he went to Shul to learn, and the problem went away by itself. That was the haftacha he received. So you see this halacha, that even a rasha, we saw in the Rambam, even a rasha, you're not allowed to give over the rasha to the authorities. Okay. That's Zayin Amud Aleph. Now, Zogt the.
If somebody does that, if somebody turns somebody over to the authorities, does that person have the right to make a counterclaim against him to the authorities?
Yeah. So the Rambam paskins, if someone was moiser you could be moiser them back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If someone was, again, we have to see if that's only. We could only see if that's the only way. If that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it. So the first thing was that the guy didn't.
Does it have to be true?
What?
Does it have to be true?
What?
You're back on that?
Pashtas. Yeah. Now. I mean, it depends what he did. I mean, you're allowed to kill him, so. Weiter. Hahu Kufyud Zayin Amud Aleph from Babakama.
Without a baked-in hospital?
No, you need to go and clear your case with Beis Din, but he's not going to come, so it has to be clear though. It has to be clear. A person shouldn't decide that on his own. Yeah.
You're on your own with the cops.
Okay.
Looks everything.
Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Alf and Baba Kama. Another Gemara. Hahu Shusa Davu Menatzu Beitrei. Hayamar Didihu v'Hayamar Didihu. So there was two people, and they were fighting over a piece of property. So one of them decided, you know what? I'm sick and tired of fighting over this. I'm going to go give it over to the government. I'm going to say, the community wants to give this as a gift to the government. And this way, this guy's going to get, now, probably he's going to get a kickback for that, and that's why he doesn't mind giving over his half that he's also fighting over, or he doesn't really think he has a claim, so maybe he's fighting with him for no reason. But anyway, that's what happened. I gave over my part. Okay, that's really, we're going to get back to that a separate time. Let's start from here. Hahu Gavra. He was about to show something, the warehouse of his friend, to the authorities. Whatever he was going to show them. He was going to show them that there's some problem and that the authorities can come and take the entire warehouse from this other yid. Also, the Rav. He came before Rav and he said, I have this information, I want to give it to the government. Amalei, Rav, loy techavi v'loy techavi, don't do it. So you see, he came to Rav and Rav warned him, don't do it. Amalei, machivno, I'm going to do it. So Yosef Rav Kahana kamei de Rav. So Rav Kahana was there. And he saw this going on, and he saw that Rav told him not to do it. And then the guy left Rav, and he went to go do it. So, Shamte lekuye mine. Apparently Rav Kahana was a strong man, and he pulled the guy's neck out. Basically killed him. You're going to go and show and the government, this guy's warehouse, you're chayv misa. And he killed him on the spot. Kari Rav alei banecha ulfu shachvu b'rosh kol chutzos ketoy michmar. Meaning, ma toy zeh kivin shenafel b'michmar ein rachman alav af mamon shel Yisrael kivin shenafel b'yad akom ein rachman alav. The fact that the guy said that he's going to show it made him a moser even before he actually did it, and therefore Rav Kahana was in the right for killing him. Now here you see a big chiddush. Yeah, but it's a big chiddush because you see he was only being right of them in mammon. It doesn't say that he was handing him over on anything that would be criminal or anything that would be dinei nefashos. So you see from this Gemara Chiddush that even if the person is just going to be Moser, Momon Yisrael, money of a Yisrael to the Akum, that alone is enough to put him in the category of a Moser.
Or if you're caught in Rome stealing money from the government, that is off with your head. I don't know where you're making that deal. Not necessarily. It could be that if I show the thing, it's gonna
No, but it
could be if I show the warehouse, he's going to be going to jail. And if he goes to jail, and the Jews don't do well in jail, it's hidden shvuyim because it's dinei nefashos. Even to go to jail for.
Well, yeah. The Beis Yosef makes this point. I don't think I made it up. I think the Beis Yosef says that from this Gemara wouldn't be is a raya that even in the Mominus. But okay. Oh, here. Well, there's another Gemara. And anyway, after that point, Rav Kahana had to run away from Bavel, and this is the whole story that was Gerim, who was ever familiar, that Rav Kahana had to end up running away from Bavel to go to Eretz Yisrael. And Rav told Rav Kahana that you should go learn by Rabbi Yochanan, go to the yeshiva of Rabbi Yochanan, and in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yochanan sit 7 rows behind, don't say a word. And apparently it was very difficult not to speak up in the shir of Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan's shir was very lively shir, and people would hack in all the time. And he was given, it was like a gzer of galus, basically. That you killed this guy, and they're going to run after you, so you have to go over there, and that's how Rav Kahana ended up in Eretz Yisrael, and for many years he had to be in hiding. And the pshat is because of this story. But Rav never blamed him for it. Rav just said, look, the new government is not going to like what you just did. You better get out of here. But clearly, Rav Kahana was in the right. So a Masira on Mammon Yisrael is enough to put him in the category of a Moser, even to the point that he's Chayiv Misa.
Is there any good dharma for this? Like, let's say a person, a babysitter, and babysitter someone that they're going to report on taxes that they paid you, $25 to babysit. I'll have to be on taxes on that. So, am I allowed to kill them for them reporting that?
Well,
So in other words, if the guy's going to say, I know this guy took money from the IRS. He didn't report all his income.
No, forget about a much simpler case. You report who you give money to.
we're getting, of course, there's Gedarim to it, like everything else. There's a whole Siman of Shulchan Aruch. There's 17 Seifim over here. We didn't even get to the first one yet. We're still in the Gemaras in the Rambam in the introduction in the thing, But well, that's what David is saying. Really, is somebody that if all you're doing is giving it to the authorities where it's going to be a mummanistic knas, does that make you a meiser? But it could be tzikr not mutter.
In this case, he wasn't mechuyev to pay that money to the government.
What is it your business? Who's mechuyev? Who's not mechuyev? What's that to do with you?
Fine, maybe it's not my business. But I'm saying,
So you want to know if it's mutter? You want to know if you become a moser if you do it?
No, I'm saying if the government's
What's your
after the
question?
person, if the government's they're anti-Semitic and they're after the person, they want to get someone first because they're anti-Semites and they want to hurt this person, and I'm going to give them up. That's very different than a person who lives in a piece of property. He's mechuyev to pay a certain amount of taxes, and he's hiding that.
What does that have to do with you?
It might not have anything to do with me. But that's
Okay, so you have to know what the case is. You have to know what your motivation for doing that is. If your motivation is to get him back, then probably there's no difference. If there's a reason what's going on, that the pshat is it's going to put the whole community in danger when they find out that this is what's going on and things like that they talk about beferish. That if people are mezayev shtaros, it's a sif in Shulchan Aruch. If there's a guy that's being mezayev shtaros, he's counterfeiting money. You have to tell the government probably. There's the different.
On the other hand, there's also should be a huge.
Okay, well, so
the person's, he's being unfairly being sought after by the government.
okay, so I'm saying obviously right. So there's going to be gedarim to this. We're just first talking about the whole background. Is it mutter? Is it aser in general? Let's see the next Gemara in Brachos. Then Chesam and Aleph. Reb Sheila Nagdei Lahu Gavra de Baal Mitzris. So there was a guy that publicly, I guess, disgraced Hashem, and I guess it was a big public thing that he went ahead and he was boil a mitzvahs. So it was a big chil Hashem, like a Pinchas type of maisa. So Ozal Achal Bekurtzi Beimalka. So somebody went and informed. So Rav Sheila gave this guy Malchus, so that people wouldn't. So the Chil Hashem would be put in check. It would stop the Chil Hashem. So Azab Bey Kurtzi, somebody that was an informant, went to the Malchus. Amar Ika Chad Gavra B'Yudai. Look, there's a Yud out here. The Kadai and Dina B'Loy Harmon the Malka. He's going judging in your land. Any court in that place needed to get authority from the government to have the right to judge. And this guy is judging and giving punishments without permission of the government. So he told the government about Rav Sheila. So he Shadar le Pariskta ki asa amrile my time nagdose. So they sent a shliach. Amralu. So basically, Rav Sheila, just to say it outside, he had to play the government a little bit. So he told the government that this person did subhumane activities. He was Baal Chamor. He was Baal Chamor. So Amrlei, you have witnesses for that. Eliyahu Navi came, and Eliyahu Navi testified that Rav Sheila was correct. So the government was very appreciative. Oh, thank you for getting rid of such people. We don't want these subhumane people around over here. So fine. Now what happened was another Yid was there. And he said to Rav Sheila on his way out, what did you say? So, on his way out, here, Kavanofik, it's 2 lines before the end of the piece. Ki avenofik amarle au gavra avid rachmana nisa l'shikri. So someone came to Rav Shela and said, Hashem made a nace for you, but why would Hashem make a nace for a liar? Meaning he wasn't happy with the fact that Rav Shela did this shtick to cover up for what he did. So Rav Shela was concerned that this guy was going to go and tell the government that he was lying. So Hachi Amarle, Russia, you're a Russia. Lav Chamri Ika, the Ar called Chamarim, Basar Chamarim, Chazia to Ka'azil Meimer Lahu. So he saw that this guy was going to go tell the government that he lied to them and he was going to put him in trouble. So Amar Le, Russia, Amar Hai Roidefu, Vatura Amra in Balahagashkim, Harga Machi, Vakulfi Kati. So Rav Shela killed this other guy because he considered him to be a Roidef. So the guy was on his way to go being Malshin on Rav Shela. And I guess the punishment that Rav Shela would have received for lying to the government would have been Chiv Misa. So Rav Shela paskin on him that he's a Roidef and he killed him. So from here you see also that a Moser who's going to go actively send someone to the government, and that punishment for what he was doing was Misa, he's considered a Roidef, and you're allowed to protect yourself from such a person, and he's Chayiv Misa and you can kill him. That's a Roidef. Okay? So what do we learn so far? We learned that a Moser is a Roidef. We learned that you're not allowed to be Moser someone, even if it's a Rasha, you're not allowed to be Moser them. If he's being Moser, even Mammon Shel Yisrael, you're allowed to kill them, like Rav Kahana, and Kal V'chomer, he's a Roidef if he's threatening the life of a Yid. Who? Not Rishon, this is Rav Shela had Gilei Eliyahu.
And the guy found out that it was the next. How did he find out? Because he found out that he came to say, hey, this probably had Gilei Eliyahu too, this Russia. It's amazing. How do you know the name?
What?
How do you know the name?
It's like that story that Rabbi Eliezer Lapian had Gilei Eliyahu, and he came to a bracha by the Sasemes, and the Sasemes said, I don't give brachas to people that have Gilei Eliyahu. So Rabbi Eliezer Lapian said, I want a bracha when someone knows that I had Gilei Eliyahu. So you know, and I don't know exactly the story, but okay. So this is the din of a roidif. Now, what would happen if that's true? If this is true, we said someone that is a moiser, is not b'chlal Yisrael, someone and you're allowed to kill them even. But is that a punishment or is that a protection for the tzibur? And what's the hagdara of this thing that you're allowed to kill them? I mean, is it up to us to start punishing people? Or is that really like in our jurisdiction? Or is the idea that we're not punishing them, but he's a threat to the community, he's a threat to people, and therefore we're protecting the community? What's the idea? Nafkamina is that usually if it's a punishment, you can only do it after they do it, not before. But if it's to protect the community, you can only do it before and not after. Because beforehand, that's when the threat is. But if he did it already, so unless there's a reason to assume you'll do it again, maybe that's it. You can't do it. There is another Gemara. So that's the question. Is it muchzak? Do you become muchzak in that? So there's a Gemara in Avodah Zarah Chavavam and Beis. The Gemara says, minim v'amasurais. A min is someone that became an apostate, like he became against Torah. He's a min. V'amasurais is a maser. V'amumarim hayu maridin v'loy malin. The din would be that we would put them in a pit and leave them there to rot. And if he's in a pit, we wouldn't take him out. So in other words, you can basically kill him. Maybe it's not direct killing, maybe it's like a grama, but basically you're killing the guy. And it says clearly here that a mummer, you're allowed to kill them. So the Gemara asks Akasha. Now, it doesn't say here that it's because of roidif, really. It's not clear what this is. But you look at Rashi, what's a Masoris? The second line of Rashi, Malshinim l'sheker, u'moisern momoin chavireim bi'ad akum. It doesn't even say anything about roidif here. He doesn't say that he's a threat to the people. He's that alone that he's giving over the moment of a yid to a guy makes him ready. That's maridin v'lei malin. We don't want these people around. Now the Gemara says an unbelievable thing. Amali ani shoyne v'lochol avedas achicha. The rabbi says hamumar. So one of the Amorim said back, but there's a din that hashavas aveda. If you find a lost object and it belongs to a mumar, a moser, you should give it back to him. So you're telling me I'm allowed to kill him, but if I find this lost object, I have to give it back to him? I mean, if I'm allowed to get rid of him, shouldn't I be kal v'chomer allowed to get rid of his money? So Gemara says an unbelievable thing here. The Gemara ends up all the way at the end of the Gemara. The Gemara answers that basically that no, his money you should give back to him because this guy may have a good son. And his children may end up getting the Yerusha, and they're not necessarily going to be like him. And therefore you should give him back his money so that his children can yashin it. I guess after you kill him, I don't know. But the point is that it's an interesting Gemara that you have to be more careful with his money than with him. But okay, that's the Gemara. Now, how does the Rambam bring all these Gemaras down? This is the next page. It's Chesav Chayvel Mazik, Halacha Tes. So Halacha Tes we spoke out. He has ein din l'olam haba. He loses his olam haba and he's not b'chal Yisrael. Halacha Yud. Mutter laharag amoiser. B'chol makim afilu bizman hazeh. She'ein don in dinei nefashis. Even though we don't have a bezdin that has the authority to don dinei nefashis, but this you're allowed to do. Mutter lahargoi koidim sheyimsar. He's about to be moiser. You can kill him before. Ela kesha'ama hareini. Moiser ploni begufay b'mamoyna v'afilu mamoyn kal hitter atzmoy lemisa. Even just mamoyn. Umasrin le'vayim le'al timsar, we try to give him asra. V'im hey is panav, if he was mechutzef and he went against the asra. V'amar loy ki el emser enu I want to mitzvah lahargo v'chal koidim lahargo zacha. It's a good thing. Get this person out of the way. Now look at the next Rambam. Asa ha'moiser shazamam umasar. If he already did it, once he did it already, says the Rambam yirali. Now yirali means there's no such Gemara. Yirali means the Rambam. In the whole Shas, there's no such Gemara. This is my Chiddush. It's not in the whole Rambam. It's not so common. You have Yirali, probably 20 times in the whole Rambam. Yirali she'aser lahargoi. I think that once he did it, you cannot do this. Elim ken huchzak limsar hareze ye onesh shema yimsar acherim. No. It's aser unless he's huchzak. Then you should do it. Umaisim b'chol zman ba'ari amayrov. It's maisim all the time in these places. La'enosh hamoisim shechaziku limsar mammon b'nei adam. He says that we actually did this. V'limsar hamoisim b'yadakum la'onsham u'la'koisim u'asam k'fi risham. Okay? This is what the Rambam says. So, the Rambam is saying that after the fact is different, and after the fact you shouldn't necessarily do this. Unless there's a concern that he'll do it again. Now, that being the case, you still have to know how the Rambam learns the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that says Moedim v'Leimalin. Must be that there's still overall that the person, was Yatsa Mechal Yisrael, and there's a concern that he may do it, even though he's not Mamash Roidef right now. And now I want to just I do want to show you in the last page. There's our Aruch HaShulchan. And it's a big controversy why the Aruch HaShulchan wrote this paragraph. Okay? But the Aruch HaShulchan writes the following. Ha'ara. I'm writing out points. On this simon that we're going to talk about Moisrim and everything, people that are accomplices with the government and the authorities, Yadua l'chol koirei hadayros. It's clear. Shebizman akadman, in the olden days, b'medinas harachoykos, in far out lands, lehaya leish b'tochayin begufay v'mamoyna. No one really knew what to expect. No one could be confident in their health, in their well-being, or their mammon. They were constant thieves. And even sometimes those were the people in the government. Africa, even some far-out lands like third-world countries, the government itself is the problem. It's not like you can call the government to help protect you. The government itself is the problem. But however, we should mention that our governments, Malchei Europa, Uviyuchad Adonenu Akira Merussia, Va'avoisa Va'Kesarim U'Malchei Britannia, the British governments and our Russian czars and all these tzaddikim, Shepirshu kanfei memshaltam ba'artzas harachoikais l'man yil l'chol ishvish b'tochan al gufay. They fakert. They put police and they try to give seder to protect the people. Ba'ifin shehashirim lo yitztarchu lahastir atzim, so that people don't have to hide their money. There's a seder adavar. There's government. There's rules. Shul yishalu malshin b'shebashas poiskim keshin isbarm. So therefore, the whole din of Moser is referring to the olden days. Then is a roidif. So you have to know what you're talking about. In the olden days, when the government itself, you would give someone over to some barbaric, guy that took over the government. So that's a big sakana. So that was a problem. But nowadays, if a person's working with the government's following rules, and it's a seder, lav dafka, that's not what I'm talking about. And obviously, there was a big controversy in the later poskim. Why did he write that? Maybe Yavin, right?
Only if it's unjust.
What?
That sounds like if the Masir is only if it's unjust.
Yeah. Right. So some say he's saying a halacha that if it has to be unjust. But what if it's just in the kifi, the rules that they made up, but kifi the Torah, it's not true. So Ramesh has a tshuva about that. Can you be moiser someone that the rule that's not chayv al pi din Torah? So I'm not talking about din of nochos din. I'm saying he's not chayv al pi din Torah. So it's a separate issue. But the point is that there is such an Aruch HaShulchan that says that it may not be referring to modern day governments. Is he referring to it? Is he saying it for? Is he hold like that, or is he just saying it for some other reason? But there is such a sheet to keep in mind as we go through the sugya, and there's a lot. Like I said, this is the introduction, and we'll have to get into a little more next week if it's Hashem. Okay.
When you go to kill the Moser, you'll kill me like that.
Do anything around.
Yeah, turn off the thing. Turn off the X over there in the corner.